Hi guys, Coach Alexi here from Crossfit Ceylon. I want to talk to you today about general warm-ups that we can do before the classes start here at CFCY. As you know, we've got early morning classes and late evening classes. So what that means is that most of you are either rolling out of bed and coming straight into a class, or possibly sitting hunched over at a desk for the whole day before you join our evening classes. So I'm just going to run through three things that I feel that you guys should know that will help you create less drag when you're starting your workout and allow you to get the best 60 minutes. So to make it super simple for you, we've just broken it down into three main points that you want to think about when you're getting started on your warm-up. So the first here is to raise body temperature. This is relatively easy here as we have loads of machines that you guys can use. So what I would usually recommend to somebody coming in and they've got extra time before the class starts, get on the machine 1 to 2 minutes, and what you're really trying to do here is to raise your body temperature. What this does is it's going to start getting that blood flow to the areas, to the muscles, to get our body ready for the intensive workout that we're about to begin. So pretty simple, 1 to 2 minutes on any machine of your choice. Tip number 2, restoring range of motion. So what we know is typically we'll have our clients coming in early morning or late evening, and our body positions might always be a little bit more stiffer. Not just our muscles are kind of taut, but we'll also find that our joints are maybe locked or a little bit stiff after a day of working or just rolling out of bed. So what we want to think of here with restoring range of motion is basically just allowing your body to go back to its normal baseline. So for example, what I would like to usually start out with is maybe starting very simply with some inchworms. I always cue to kind of trace your fingers down your legs, get a little bit of flexion in the spine, walk the hands out. You can get into a high plank position. If you're comfortable here, go down into a push-up, and then we're going to walk the hands back to feet. Now I usually tell my clients, okay, let's do this 5 to 8 times, and what this allows us to do is have an initial check-in, right? When I'm going down, I'm going to feel for the back of the hamstrings and notice, do I have tightness in the ankles? Are my heels peeling off the floor when I walk in? How do my shoulders feel? How does my core feel? All of these things will allow me to kind of check in with myself. The next thing I'd like to do after my inchworms is maybe take a large step out, so we get into this nice high lunge. This is a little bit more challenging because I'm usually cueing people to be a little bit more active with that back leg by keeping that back knee off. We're then going to place the left palm down and then take the right elbow, reach, and if we can, touch the ground, open up. So we're adding not just a lunge that's going to open up that front hip, a little bit more action on the glutes as well to hold this position, but then we're also getting the thoracic spine involved by creating a little bit of rotation through the spine. All right, so we usually like to cue maybe doing 8 reps and then swapping over to the other side and then checking in. More often than not, each side is going to feel really different, and there's nothing wrong with that. We in general have a lot of muscle imbalances, so it's just a time for us to check in to see what else we need to work on. Another thing that I really like to do is to check shoulder range of motion. So here we're going to take it to the wall and I'm going to show you a few things that we can do. So a little bit more shoulder focus, especially if we know that we're going to be going into an upper body workout, whether it's strict presses, toes to bar. We need a little bit of movement through the shoulders and a lot of opening there. So what we can start to do is stand up against the wall. Maybe we're about half a foot, a few inches away from the wall, and again, that will depend on your mobility. So what we want to work on here is getting the arm up, so extending that arm overhead and then pulling that arm behind us. Maybe the first few reps you'll notice the chest being really tight and then we have to swivel around a little bit, but I want you guys to think of fighting that by keeping that left shoulder back. Again, flex the arm up and then extend it behind. So we try to take about 10 to 15 of these nice and slow. Again, this is just restoring range of motion. We're not trying to increase our mobility here. That's specific training. So we just do that maybe 10 to 15 times on each side. And another way that we can also do this is with the PVC pipe, where we're actually going to be working on both sides at the same time. So follow me. What we're going to do is to go really wide stance, full overhand grip on the PVC. What we want to think about is flexing all that above. We're going to shrug a little bit and then pull that PVC behind us. Now what I want you to notice is the position of my rib cage. What we're trying to avoid here is getting that range from the lower back, so we want to hug that rib cage down. You're thinking rib cage pointing down to your hips. So typically I would say 10 to 15, nice and slow. We're not trying to rush through this. Again, this is a great check-in for an area where maybe we might feel a little bit tight, and usually that's going to happen in this position where the arms are behind me. So after testing our shoulder and our thoracic spine, just testing it out maybe at the shoulder clock and even using the PVC. If you still feel like you've got a lot of restrictions in your body, what I'm going to show you today is utilizing the band to kind of help you restore that range of motion. So let's say you've got really, really tight lats, your chest is tight. What we're going to do is tie a band, red or green, depending on how you'd like or the intensity of the stretch. We're going to get a full grip around that. And really, what we're going to do is start to hinge at the hips and drive our chest forward. And what that's going to do is really lengthen out the lat muscles and that side body, just to allow us to get a little bit more freedom in the shoulders, especially if we're doing something like strict press, pull-ups, push presses, all of that. We want to be able to have the shoulders be nice and loose. Now, if you want to add the hips in here, go ahead and come into a sitting position. Here, you're going to have to pull that shoulder back into the socket. You can let it come out again, so it's protraction, retraction here. And of course, you can use this opportunity to get a little bit into the ankle mobility. So by sitting into a deep squat, maybe shifting over the ankles from side to side and driving that knee over the side. So this kind of kills two birds with one stone, which is why it's one of the ones that I would recommend. Keeping it pretty simple. If we have a lower body workout and we want to work especially on the base or foundation position, which are our ankles or feet. So maybe we want to be able to try getting into an air squat, nice and slow. Now this doesn't have to be fast. It's again just checking out where things are a little bit tight, where you're not be able to kind of shift around too much. And again, ankle mobility is one that's really, really important for our classes here. So what we can do is some of these can openers. So if you're able to drive those hips down, grab hold onto your heels and pull your chest through. And then we're going to slowly press into the heels, start to round the back, not flat back, but round and flex the spine. And then we can reset our hips back down. So this is going to help you both with ankle and a little bit of hip mobility as you try to increase range, really rounding at the top of that movement. And as you sit back down, get a little bit of stretch in the chest. So you can do 5 to 8 of these and see how you feel. Another one I would then consider is dropping straight into a half kneeling position and then placing your foot out. So this is kind of like a lateral lunge, half kneeling. And what we're really trying to achieve here is not just kind of getting into the ankles, but getting into the adductors or into the inner thighs, which often can be really, really tight, especially if we've done a lot of squats or possibly deadlifts, sumo deadlifts the day before. So we want to be able to, again, restore range of motion. Allow yourself to take 5 to 10 of these and just getting that knee driving over the toes. So we can then switch over to the other side and test it out here. So again, a great primer for restoring range of motion. Once we've done about 5 to 10 of these on each side, we can actually sit down, and some of our classes already have these. So these are quite common. We call them our 1990 switches, but we can add it as a shin box. So when we turn to one side, we can take a few of these 1990s. Now, of course, these are a lot more active as I'm trying to keep my torso upright. If this is really hard for you at the beginning, make it easy. Take a lean back on your palms and then work on getting your hips into internal rotation and external rotation. So we might do this about 10 times each side. Again, these are not meant to be done fast. It's kind of like a check-in with your body. So take your time and focus on breathing throughout this entire movement. And for our last tip, number 3, it's to prime or prep the muscles, especially if we know what exactly we're doing for that workout that day. As you know, CrossFit Ceylon, across our CrossFit workouts and our build workouts, we'll have days that target maybe the main lift will be a back squat, or maybe we're working on strict presses that day. Having a look at what the workout is also going to give you a little bit more insight and a little bit more focus as to what you want to prep. Obviously, our core works in almost anything, whether we do upper body or lower body. So that's always something that we want to prep. So a great thing over here with the core, we can just hold planks for that matter, right? We can hold a 30-second plank. We can start to do side planks just to get the core ready to be stable, to be able to brace and help with the lifts that we're going to be doing in class. When it comes to upper and lower body, this is going to change a little bit. So upper body, if we're doing a push-pull workout, so for example, on Tuesdays in our CrossFit workouts, we're going to be having our push presses and then we go straight into pull-ups. So things that you want to focus on is warming up or prepping those same muscles that we're going to be using in the workout. So for example, what I'd like to do is maybe take you to the bar. A great way that I find to also stretch out the lats is doing a supinated grip at the barbell. So again, these are a little bit more active, but that's exactly what we want to do to start priming and getting ready those muscles to be able to take on the load that we put on in the workout. So we're going to jump up, palms facing the bar, and of course what we want to do is just start with a dead hang. And once we feel maybe a 15-second dead hang, so we really feel like everything's stretching out or lengthening out, what we're going to do is some active raises. All right, so some scapular pull-ups. So these are a great way to start prepping for pull-ups, and mind you, they're going to help your shoulders with the push press. Another way that we can kind of look at prepping for maybe vertical overhead work is, so usually when we do banded warm-ups, we'll have the band, stack it in front rack position, and then brace everything as we drive that overhead. Bring that back down with control. So we can do anything from 8 to 10 reps over here, depending on what band. But again, these are things that you should be thinking about before your workout. What exactly are you trying to warm up? What we don't want to see is you've not even worked on warming up your shoulders and we start immediately doing moderately heavy lifts, push presses, strict presses, straight into that without actually getting our shoulders nice and mobile. So if we're thinking about lower body warm-ups, let's take a look at what exactly we're doing for the day. It could be deadlifts, it could be squats, whatever it is. We really want to know that the ankles, knees, and hips are nice and warmed up. So it's always nice to be able to get a few of these air squats done out of the way, just to get the hips warmed up and exactly knowing what it's going to be doing. Maybe you're going to be doing a back squat right after. Another great thing that I really love is to do reverse lunges, because I find that this is a great stretch for the flexors. So whether it's walking or maybe you're doing 5 on each side, take a moment to see what it feels like on each leg. So lunges, squats, we can even, with the deadlifts, a great one is also to start doing maybe single leg work. So we'd be looking at maybe a box over here and doing single leg step-ups. Again, these are all primers to get us ready for the big lifts. So if we were doing deadlift days, really good to maybe try out 8 to 10 high step-ups and then swapping the legs back down. So you get the gist. Ideally here we're working through an effort of what we feel like is 5, 6. We're not really going to try and take it to the higher numbers there, because really this is still part of your warm-out. We want you guys to be able to have enough energy and not fatigue too much for the main 60-minute session.